The AFL trade period this year has been absolutely insane already, and it's still about over a month away, which is kind of crazy to think. Actually, now that I check my John Cena watch, because you can't see it, I actually don't even think the AFL trade period is even that far away. And that's why I think we're getting so much news, more news than we've ever heard in previous years. News that sounds absolutely fake almost when you say it out, but then you realize it's being reported by the best AFL journalists around. And I may be using best pretty lightly because I think one of these reports is by Sam McClure, and every time I look at his haircut, it makes me not want to be here anymore. I'm just putting it out there. Anyway, we'll start off with the first one, which is reported by Tom Morris. We've been hearing about this for a minute now, but it says that West Coast Premiership forward Jack Darling has had a medical at North Melbourne this morning. All things being equal, he appears bound for Arden Street on a multi-year deal in the trade period. And again, from what I'm hearing, that is a 3-year deal. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of think this is an L by North Melbourne. If you're a West Coast fan, this is a massive W, because right now you're actually doing something that you've been wanting to do for a couple years, and that is pretty much rotate some of these older players out and bring in a ton of youth. Again, Jack Darling, I really don't think is that good in the league anymore. He does his role. I just don't really think he's got a place on West Coast and where West Coast are trying to build and trying to move towards. Again, they've drafted a key forward or two in the last year or so with, I believe, Archer Reed and then Ryan Marrick, who actually played a bit of wing this year. They're going to be wanting to have those guys as like the second option. They're going to want the forward line to officially be established as Oscar Allen's forward line. While North Melbourne, they definitely need a second key forward to help out Larky, because he's been doing it all for so long now. But I just don't think Jack Darling is that guy, considering there were reports and rumours out there saying that Tim Membry could have very well been up for grabs by North Melbourne. I would have rather them go in that direction and bring him in as another forward marking option, rather than have bringing in Jack Darling. Again, I know the reason they're going for Darling is because he's a bigger key forward who's typically a better mark, typically better at crashing the packs. But in saying that, his body is so much more run down than what Tim Membry's is. Membry as well is such a good marking player on the lead. Hits the scoreboard, I think, better than what Darling does too. Maybe a bit more money, but I mean, you're North Melbourne. You're not really paying many players, and I've been seeing North fans a bit distressed and upset they didn't go that direction. Again, we don't know all the ifs and buts. St Kilda may have offered a bit more money at the end of the day, and they just secured Membry, and this is plan B for North Melbourne to go for Darling. I guess that's an option, but at the end of the day, Darling is in his 30s now, has an injury history, and hasn't been good for a little bit of time. So I think this is a good move by West Coast to let Darling walk. They can probably bring in a pick in like the late second, early third as compensation by the AFL. Makes sense. I would do it if I was them, and they can continue to add to this young team and bring in some good young pieces. Again, North don't really need to do that. They've got all the young pieces there now. It's time to probably go and do some trades and fill out the rest of the team. And I guess that's what they're doing with Jack Darling. But yeah, I don't really like this deal by North. I think if Tim Membry was there, they should have 100% gone for him. But as I said, maybe St Kilda just offered more money and they made this happen, right? And speaking of St Kilda offering more money and doing the unthinkable, a report came out a little bit ago, which is one of the craziest things I have ever heard. I really don't know how to take this. I was actually at my grand final presentation night, and I was sitting on my table, and across from me is a massive Essendon fan. He just shows me his phone, and it was actually a picture of a chick's ass. And then I said, mate, why are you showing me that? I mean, thank you, but what the f-? He realized he accidentally scrolled a bit too far down. So he scrolled up, and it was Zack Merritt being linked to St Kilda by Tom Morris, just out of nowhere. Again, it is being said that the Saints are believed to be preparing to offer a godfather deal to allure Zack Merritt to the club. Again, when Tom Morris was speaking about all of these things, he actually said that Zack Merritt right now has 3 years left to go, but he's only on $900,000, and his deal is extremely front-ended, meaning that by his 3rd year, he might only be on about $700,000, which Zack Merritt probably is not going to be exactly too happy with. And with all these AFL teams finding all of this money recently, teams preparing for the new, 7 deal or TV rights deal to happen in 2031, teams are starting to offer these 7 to 8 year massive deals. We've been seeing Harry Perryman is apparently going to be getting a 7-year deal from Port Adelaide, which is crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if Zack Merritt was offered like a massive deal to get him to the team. Again, Zack Merritt is about to turn 29 years old, but with how we've seen all of these players like longevity really go up in recent years, like Travis Boak, Scott Pendlebury, I think a lot of teams expect Zack Merritt to be exactly the same. I wouldn't be surprised if he was offered like a 5-year deal by St Kilda, where it's like 1.2 million a year, and by the 4th or 5th year it's still like 1.1. Again, could you imagine that by the 3rd year it's still 1.2? That means that he'd be getting paid like $500,000 more than what the Bombers would be offering him. Again, is any of this going to happen? No way. This is all just St Kilda really telling the market that in the next couple years they're going to go hard for these players. At the end of the day, what will happen is St Kilda will offer this deal to Zack Merritt. Zack Merritt will tell Essendon and be like, hey, look at this, guys. I'm getting offered, Tony Stark's mansion from the MCU movies, and you guys are paying me $700K a year. And then Essendon will just be like, look, we'll give you a 2-year extension, so you'll be signed for 5 years, and we'll restructure your contract so you're getting like $1 million a year. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. That would keep Zack Merritt quiet, it'd keep him calm, and he'd be able to go and do his thing and know he's locked up till he's 34. Again, it's not as good as the St Kilda deal, but at the end of the day, him switching to St Kilda doesn't make any sense for him. He's the Essendon captain. He's one of the best Essendon players in recent years. This is a lot of mumbo jumbo is what they call it, I suppose. He'll be an Essendon player. I don't see this going anywhere at all. Again, we got a Dan Houston update as well from Callum Toomey, who did say that rival interest in Dan Houston has narrowed down to 3 clubs, with the Saints cooling. So I guess they're taking their interest off Houston and putting it towards Merritt, which is pretty funny. It is being said that the 3 teams most interested does happen to be Carlton, Collingwood, and the Western Bulldogs. Again, this is a really interesting trio because Carlton, I just don't see how they have the salary cap. Again, they're probably the most likely, but I don't know how they're going to have the salary cap. I think the Collingwood deal is impossible to get done. They're probably going to be able to have the salary because they'll back end the contract, but no way do they have the assets for Port Adelaide to even think about doing this again. Port have made it clear they want 2 first-round picks. Whether they get that or not, we'll have to wait and see, but they have made it very clear they want 2 first-round picks. Collingwood do not even have that. It's unlikely unless, Collingwood somehow get another first, which I just don't know how they're going to do. But the Western Bulldogs one it's definitely interesting because I have been vocal about this on this channel. I don't think the Bulldogs are going anywhere unless they get rid of Luke Beveridge. I think they really should go for a new coach. I mean, Andrew McQualter is sitting right there. He had a 7-6 Richmond record with a not-so-good Richmond team. I definitely feel like he would be able to really embrace the Doggies and change them. Again, their team doesn't necessarily fit how his game style is of a more Damien Hardwick style, but he could probably change some things and fit that into his liking. The thing is with the Dogs, you can go out and trade for Dan Houston. It'll make your team better, but will Bevo be able to get this team to the 4? I don't really know, but if the Dogs are going to be able to do this, it would be good. But again, in saying that, I don't think they own their first round pick this year. So it's another situation where it's like, how are you going to get this done? You don't own your first round pick. Port Adelaide do want the 2 first round picks. where are we going with this? Like, it just, I don't know how it would work at all. And I just don't know. I don't know what team goes out and gets Dan Houston. I just feel like, how can Port Adelaide not get 2 first-round picks for arguably the best halfback in the game, who has just been All-Australian like 2 years in a row? That's why I just don't know how this gets done. The only reason they're going to trade him for cheaper is because they know they're getting all those guys from GWS in, and, you know, are really starting to rotate this through, and know that these role players are coming in. If they can't get rid of Houston's contract, maybe they can't bring these role players in from GWS like Perryman. I don't really know how it's all going to go. The Dan Houston one is definitely one to, I think, obviously look out for. Now, this is the one that I've been kind of dreading to talk about today, but here we are. We might as well talk about it. It is being said that Dustin Martin has reportedly reached out to the Gold Coast Suns, inquiring about the possibility of joining the club. That one's being reported by Cal Toomey. I think Tom Morris actually reported that, or it was Sam McClure. I think it was Sam McClure actually reported that Gold Coast had met with Dusty. So this one obviously hurts as a Richmond fan, because I thought Dusty was going to retire. And I suppose he did retire. What I'm probably trying to say is I thought he was going to retire a one-club player. And we know that just has not been the case now. And I think this is unfortunate. I really do. I think Dusty should have stayed a one-club player, and I don't know how he's going to work at the Gold Coast Suns. End of the day is they're bringing in a lot of really good talent in himself if he does go there. John Noble, Daniel Rioli, one of the best halfbacks in the game right now, and a couple others that they're definitely looking at. I think they're going to be keeping Alex Davies. Most likely they're going to be keeping a couple of these players. The only real guy they're losing is Jack Lukosius, and I don't think he was in their best 22 at the end of the day anyway, and that's why Timmer dropped him. He needs to go find his role on another team. Again, the Gold Coast Suns are building probably the best depth chart in the AFL, and if they get all these players, there's like no doubt that they should probably make the 4 next year. Again, that was my dog's tail in the background. He's just trying to cock block my video, I think. Look, I don't think this is a good move for Dusty. I think he should just stay retired. I don't think he was playing very good footy, but that could just be because he was, you know, out of it with Richmond and wasn't trying anymore, whatever it might be. He should retire a one-club player, I think. And funny thing is, Richmond aren't going to get anything out of this deal. He's probably going to be signed on less than $500K. He will go there on like a 1 or 2 year deal. Richmond will be like, can we get something? The AFL will be like, you're getting enough picks from all these teams. And instead of getting like pick 35 to 45 for him or whatever for compensation, I don't think Richmond are going to get anything, which is really sad for them. And this is just an L move, I think, all around by all parties. I just don't like this at all. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment all of your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my IRL Cycling channel, my gaming channel, and this channel if you haven't already for all latest sports content and news. But I guess, as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.